What's up, guys? Welcome to the line change. In this particular video, we're going to be talking about some potential bargain bin free agents that the Canucks could potentially sign. Now, I know what you're probably wondering. What do you mean by bargain bin free agents? Like, what is that? Essentially, what I'm talking about is players with a very low cap hit that the Canucks can steal and play, and basically unrestricted free agents that are cheap and for quote unquote for sale. Those types of players, I'm talking about guys like for example, we all know the story of the Canucks, acquiring Kevin Lankinen, Kiefer, Sherwood, this past, I should say last offseason, we quietly acquired them, and they were kind of like under the radar when it came to, free agent signings. And then you go on and you see how Kevin Lankinen played. That ended up being a steal of a signing and a fantastic signing on Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin's part. You can say the same about Kiefer Sherwood. That was a steal of a signing, and they ended up both having career years. And, Lankinen was, what was it, under $1 million that they paid, that they initially signed him for. And then you have Kiefer Sherwood, who was signed. Here, let me just quickly bring up Kiefer Sherwood. Thought I had it up, but I didn't. Anyway, while I wait, get Kiefer Sherwood's contract info up, let me give a quick shout out and thank you to my sponsor, Gassy Jack Art, maker of that incredible artwork you see there behind me. And Gassy Jack Art is, you can find Gassy Jack Art at gassyjackart.com. You can also find him on Instagram at Gassy Jack Art. He currently still has his end of season sale still going on, where you can buy 4 prints and 2 of them will be free. So you're essentially only paying for 2. So go ahead, check them out, gassyjackart.com. Now, moving back to our discussion, let me just quickly add something. Sorry. Where did it go? There it is. Come on, wait for Peter to load. There we go. Okay. Now let me find out about Kiefer Sherwood. All right, let me see real quick. Get this onto the screen so you guys can see it as well. All right, actually, here, I won't put it on the screen, but it's basically they signed Kiefer Sherwood to a $1.5 million contract. So that is what they paid for Sherwood. It was under $2 million. With Lankinen, they I believe it was under $1 million for Lankinen. Let me just quickly double check that. See here. Okay, let's see what the original contract was. So contract history. Signed on September 21st, 2024. Okay, so it was, yes, under $1 million. It was $875,000 that Lankinen signed, that 1-year deal. So basically, they give you my whole point on the whole bargain bin free agents. No, they signed them for very low amount of money, and then they ended up, as I mentioned earlier, having career years with the Vancouver Canucks. And then, so they ended up being steals for the Canucks. So basically, what I'm asking in this video is, are there any players or unrestricted free agents that can essentially be like what Kiefer, Sherwood, and Kevin Lankinen were for the Canucks last season? Is there any that are currently, don't have a contract and someone that the Canucks could potentially steal for a very cheap price? So in this video, we're going to be going over some names. There's not many. We're going to go over a few names, and we'll see if they work out, if they fit with the Canucks. But we're going to go over an article by our friends at Canucks Army. This article in particular that was written was, in fact, written by a good friend of mine. You guys all know him as Quads, David Quadrelli, who's also happens to be a friend of the show, of the podcast. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Kiefer, Sherwood, Kevin Lankinen, Pia Suter, Dakota Joshua. If there's one thing the Vancouver Canucks' front office has done especially well under Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin, it's hit on their bargain bin free agent pickups. Now, there have certainly been some misses as well. Desharnais and Anaheim obviously come to mind, but for the most part, the Canucks have benefited from their work signing some of the lesser talked about free agents. Anytime your signings make other NHL teams look inward and wonder how them and their pro scouts missed out on a player, you know you've done something right. And that thought certainly crossed multiple GMs' minds when they saw Kevin Lankinen provide the Canucks with quality starting goaltending for under $1 million. Seeing Kiefer, Sherwood hit everything that moves while recording 40 points likely did the same. But as we look at and preview the Canucks' lineup and offseason work ahead, their bottom six seems pretty set. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Following the trade and subsequent signing of Drew O'Connor, the Canucks have an abundance of middle six forwards: Connor Garland, Dakota Joshua, Teddy Bluger, Philip Hedl, Jake DeBrusk, Niels Höglander. In fact, it's kind of hard to name a current Canucks forward who isn't of the middle bottom six variety. We haven't even mentioned the Abbotsford Canucks, who boast multiple players that will be challenging for full-time NHL bottom six jobs out of training camp next season. As a result, most of the conversations being had right now are how the Canucks are going to address their needs in the top six. But are there any bargain bin NHL free agents the Canucks could sign? Daily Faceoff put out together a team of all-value signings earlier this week. Here are the 5 names featured: Anthony Beauvillier, Jonathan Drouin, Eric Robinson, who just re-signed with Carolina, Nick Perbix, Nate Schmidt, and James Reimer. Could any of these players be of interest for the Canucks? Potentially James Reimer if the club chooses to trade a goaltender to upgrade at forward and wants to ensure they have Sorry, guys. To ensure they have an appropriate plan B, and in the case that Archer Seelovs still isn't ready for consistent NHL reps, despite another strong playoff run, maybe. Could Anthony Beauvillier work again? In Bruce Boudreau's high-octane offensive system, Beauvillier tallied 20 points through 33 games, playing most of his minutes alongside EP40, but a slow start in 2023-24 led the Canucks to moving Beauvillier to Chicago in a cap-clearing move that likely makes Beauvillier irrelevant. Really, the greatest argument against the Canucks going out and making value signings this offseason is that they likely have enough middle six and bottom six options, and true top six wingers aren't typically found late in free agency. Further, finding a player even as good as Pius Suter of 2 years ago will be more difficult this offseason. With the cap going up, teams aren't likely to let players they have even the slightest of inkling could help their team in any measurable way fly under the radar. Plus, with Matt Duchene officially off the board ahead of free agency, and Sam Bennett presumably soon to follow, the market for quote-unquote lesser players is only going to increase, making it even more difficult to find bargain bin signings this summer. Even looking lower on the list of Daily Faceoff's list of top 50 free agents, there are very few names that you look at and think he makes sense for the Canucks given their current lineup. I will leave a link to this article in the description down below. You guys can check out, or rather, you guys can check it out yourselves, and also, see that has a link to the Daily Faceoffs list of top 50 free agents. I'm just going to, at the end of this article, I'm just going to take a few names. We'll discuss them. We'll see how they fit with the Canucks, if they do, and whatnot, and we'll go from there. Do you see any names on the list who could be bargain bin signings that could be anything more than bottom or middle six wingers? And so, as the Canucks head into a pivotal 2-week offseason stretch and gear up for free agency on July 1, it would appear likely their shopping in the bargain bin will be far more limited this summer than it has been in the past. So let's take a look at some of the names. And one name instantly comes out, and Quads actually mentions it in this article. One that stands out, and that is Victor Olofsson, who scored 28 goals just 2 seasons ago. He's a bit of a power play specialist and could help the Canucks in that regard, but is a 3-year deal at $3.4 million. As AFP Analytics projects, he'll get really bargain territory. Perhaps if he can pot 25 plus goals, it is. There's also plenty of reason to believe that 28 goal season was a flash in the pan. There might be some upside there, but even with a somewhat intriguing name like Olofsson, it feels like the Canucks need to be making bets on more surefire players. Now let's take a look at another player who caught my eye. And this player, here, let me actually bring it up onto the screen so you guys can read along, check it out. Share screen. Boom. No, that's way too small. Shit. There we go. That's a little bit better. Or will cinema layout work? No. I'm going to go with this one. Yes, I can. Make it bigger. Somehow. No, does not work. No, never mind. Anyway, I'm going to stop playing with it, and let's just go ahead and look at Andrew Mangiapane. Currently, he does not have a contract. His previous cap hit was 5.8. What was 5.8? And Mangiapane last season with the Washington Capitals had 14 goals, 14 assists, 28 points. Only missed one game last season, so that's a huge positive. Obviously, I'm a little familiar with Mangiapane from his Calgary days. I actually quite liked him. Thought he was a good middle six forward. I believe he had some stints on the top line, and obviously, that has decreased since he left Calgary and then went to Washington. But still, 28 points. I feel as though he didn't get as much of a chance to shine in Washington, due to how stacked that the Capitals are. So I think if he can go like maybe Vancouver, he might have that production might increase. Looking at his stats, I believe his best season was in 2021-2022, where he had 55 points. He had 35 goals and 20 assists. That was with Calgary, obviously, and then he ended up following that up with a 40-point season, followed by a 47-point season, and 28-point season, not 24. I was looking at penalty minutes. He went from 55 to 43 to 40. So I guess his point totals and production have gone down drastically the last few years, but he was one name that caught my eye on this list. Let's go take a look at another one. And this one, people might be okay with. Although granted, I will admit he is a little bit on the older side. But we're going to be talking about Gustav Nyquist in this one. There we go. Gustav Nyquist. Yes, Nyquist is 35 years old, but he is pretty darn good a winger. And honestly, I've always liked Nyquist. He could be relatively cheap. He could be a bit of a bargain signing. Obviously, let me try and find the stats. Obviously, 2 seasons ago in 2023-2024 was one of his best seasons. In fact, it was the best season of his career, where he played 81 games, 23 goals, 52 assists, good for 75 points. And then obviously this past year, his production went down, only getting 21 points in 57 games with the Nashville Predators, and then only getting 7 points in 22 games after he was traded to the Minnesota Wild. So perhaps his age is starting to, get, perhaps Father Time is catching up to Nyquist, and that one season that he had a couple years ago was like a one and done. But, you could still potentially have him in your bottom 6. He'd be a third line forward. Could he excel on the Canucks team? Who knows? Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about Gustav Nyquist. But another one that I wanted to bring up and mention was Brandon Saad. as he is also on this list that is in this article. Brandon Saad, his previous cap hit was 1.5 million for 1 year that he signed with the Vegas Golden Knights. Obviously, Brandon Saad is a little on the older side as well. He is younger than Nyquist. He's only at 32 years old. 6'1", 205 pounds, left-handed shot, left and right winger. So he can play on both sides of the wing. But looking at Saad's points, obviously Brandon Saad's production has gone down in the last year or two, I believe. Yeah, his in 2024, 2025, in 43 games with St. Louis, he had 16 points, 7 goals, 9 assists. And then in 29 games with the Vegas Golden Knights, after he was traded, had 14 points in 29 games, 6 goals, 8 assists. But the year before that, in 2023-24, he had 42 points, 26 goals, 16 assists in 82 games. The year before that, he had 37 points in 71 games, 19 goals, 18 assists. And then the year before, 2021-2022, he had 49 points in 78 games, 24 goals, 25 assists. Obviously, his best season, it appears, was with Columbus in 2015-2016, where he had 53 points in 78 games, 31 goals, 22 assists. And then he followed that up with a identical campaign the year after, 53 points in 82 games, 24 goals, 29 assists. So Saad can most certainly bring some veteran experience to the bottom six if the Canucks were inclined to acquire him. And basically the whole point of this whole bargain bin is he would be relatively cheap. If they were to acquire him, he probably wouldn't want like a 1 year, maybe 2 year deal. But he is definitely somebody you could add to your bottom six, even though our bottom six is pretty stacked. But he has that veteran experience. He is a playoff performer, having done so with the Chicago Blackhawks and having won a Stanley Cup with Chicago. And that is one thing that a lot of Canucks fans say they want, say that this team needs. They need guys who can, not only just compete, but produce in the playoffs. Brandon Saad has won a Stanley Cup. He's been through the grind. He'd probably be a good one. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about Brandon Saad. Looking at some of these other names on this list, some of these other names on this list. Let me find. There we go. You have Brandon Tanev, Matt Grzelcyk, Cody Ceci, Max Pacioretty, Evgeny Dadonov. We already spoke about Mangiapane. There was Ryan Lindgren, Mason Appleton from Winnipeg, Tony DeAngelo from the Islanders, Gustav Nyquist that we just spoke about, Alex Lyon, Connor Brown, Victor Olofsson, Justin Brazeau, Nick Perbix, Dan Vladar, Adam Gaudette, Joel Armia, Radek Faksa, who could be a good target for the Canucks, him being a center, of course, although his cap hit is $3.25 million. Then you have James Van Riemsdyk, who is under $1 million, but he is 36 years old. Brandon Saad, who we just mentioned. Henry Yokiharu, who is a defenseman. And then, of course, you have Jeff Skinner. So let me know, out of all those names, who you guys think could be a bargain bin steal signing for the Vancouver Canucks. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. And as always, if you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to stay up to date on all Canucks content, be sure to smash that subscribe button. and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. Stay up to date on all your Vancouver and Abbotsford Canucks content. Also, if you want to find us on social media, you can find us on Facebook. Just search The Line Change to find our Facebook page. Find us on Instagram at The Line Change. Find us on X at Line Change Van. You can find us on TikTok at the.line.change.po. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. If you prefer an audio version of this podcast, find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. On Spotify, feel free to give us a follow as well as rate and review us. But that's going to do it for this video. Once again, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. Who on that list do you guys see as a potential bargain bin free agent for the Vancouver Canucks? Do you guys think Brandon Saad could be a good choice? Victor Olofsson, Gustav Nyquist, maybe even Andrew Mangiapane? Let me know in the comment section down below which of these guys do you think could be potentially the next Kiefer Sherwood, the next Kevin Lankinen. So yeah, once again, let me know in the comment section down below, and go Canucks go. As always, go Canucks go. Let's go Abby. Big game tonight. We want the cup. Let's bring the cup home. Abby needs to get us Canuck fans to celebrate something, right? Let's bring home the cup, and I'll see you guys in the next video.